Welcome to Connect and Collaborate with ICOSA, empowering leaders to lead. Today's broadcast is one of many in a series about the life and times of Jim Salestrom. Jim Salestrom is an Emmy Award-winning musician. He has been performing with leaders in the entertainment field. Dolly Parton and John Denver have encouraged and influenced Jim, and he has seen a great deal of the world as a professional musician because of them. Jim's music and charm have connected him to U.S. presidents, U.S. senators, Supreme Court justices, as well as artists, musicians, and captains of industry. ICOSA magazine shares stories about people that are connecting, collaborating, and communicating to build innovative solutions to reach each other's goals. ICOSA magazine believes Jim Salestrom is one of the most connected people on the planet. Here's Jim Salestrom. Welcome back to Connect and Collaborate with ICOSA, empowering leaders to lead. Here's Jim Salestrom.
This is my story about being in Dolly Parton's band. So we flew to Washington, D.C., and Richard and I were going to share. We get to play for President Jimmy Carter, and we get to stay at the Watergate Hotel. And we opened the door to our room, and we walked in, and it was like this two-bedroom suite. It was just amazing. And it had a kitchen, and I remember turning to Richard saying, "Wow, this is great. We can go to the store, we'll buy some steaks, we'll have a feast, it'll be great." And we got a phone call from Don Warden, and Don Warden said, "Order a meal or have some room service, that'd be fine. Just charge it to the room because NBC's going to pick it up." Well, Richard and I just kind of looked at each other and smiled. And, I think Richard and I decided that we should really celebrate. We had steak and lobster. We had prawns the size of your fists. We had wines that we had never tried. And everything was just delicious. We had such a good time, we decided we'd head down and see if there was anybody hanging out downstairs at the bar. And we happened to find some friends of ours, some people we knew. The Gatlin brothers were there. They were bazillionaires. The gold that they had invested in had all come through. It had gone through the roof, and they were really rich. And Richard and I looked at each other, and we said, well, there's never been a better time for us to buy the cocktails because we're not paying for them. So we signed them all to the room. And the Gatlin brothers knew exactly what to order. They ordered the most expensive stuff on the menu. We got back home, and the accounting office from Dolly's, people called, the management company called, and they said, there must be some mistake. NBC has refused to pay for your room service charges. And they went through the bill, and they kind of told us what everybody else had spent. And Richard and I had spent quite a bit more. And that's a lesson that I learned, and one that I regret, and one that I will never forget. And it's something that has stuck with me forever and ever about charging somebody else's bill up and taking advantage of the situation. It's never a good idea. And so the next day, we go to Ford's Theater, and it's just awesome. Ford's Theater is the famous theater that Abraham Lincoln was shot in by John Wilkes Booth. And that balcony is covered with flags, and it's red, white, and blue banners, and in the balcony suite where President Lincoln was, and it's a real small theater, and it's kind of eerie to be there, and it was kind of strange to be there because I felt a little nervous because President Carter and his wife Rosalind are sitting in the front row, and I think that the theater only seats maybe 100 people, maybe. I don't know. It's maybe a little bigger. But it was just kind of an odd feeling. I was worried about having another president sitting in that theater. It just felt kind of strange. And there was no backstage, so we kind of hung out in the alley. And the Secret Service guys were all there. And I remember talking to them. I'll always remember it was Bill Monroe and Johnny Cash and the Oak Ridge Boys and the Gatlin brothers, the Statler brothers, Dolly Parton, And Johnny Cash and June Carter were there, and Johnny Cash read the Gettysburg Address while they played patriotic music, and everybody cried. It was just so incredible. That was really an amazing experience. And Jimmy Carter just beamed. He just loved it. And I remember reading in the Washington Times there was a picture of President Carter meeting Dolly, and he lit up. He was beaming. I remember reading in the paper that Jimmy Carter said out of all the people, he was really looking forward to meeting Dolly Parton. And so I asked Dolly the next day, I said, how did you feel about meeting the President of the United States? I said, was it really cool? And she said, well, it was very nice. And she said, I think it was a little cooler meeting Strother Martin the week before. And I said, Strother Martin? She said, yeah, he was the character actor that was really famous from movies like Cool Hand Luke. He was the guy that said, now what we have here is a failure to communicate. I thought it was so cool that she was impressed with people that were really down to earth, and it didn't matter what your station is in life, I also remember being at the airport the next day, and we were with Johnny Cash and June Carter and their son John Carter Cash, who was about 9 years old, and Bill Monroe was there in a full dress suit, and everybody was saying, boy, Bill Monroe is he's not well. And somebody said, well, how old is he? And they said, well, he's really getting up there. He's about 70, which, that's not very old now. When you're 51, 70's not that old. 51's the new 41. But Bill Monroe had a really long life. He lived a lot longer than that. And it was really something to reflect back on working with Dolly Parton in 1979 and going back there in my mind. I remember that's my start. That's where I started. And I wanted to start there.
Thank you for listening to Connect and Collaborate with ICOSA, featuring Jim Salestrom, Empowering Leaders to Lead. For more information, please visit icosa.com and/or jimsalestrom.com.
I'd vote for Australia to become the 51st state. I love it so much. I think we've been there 4 times with Dolly. I learned so much, though, from Richard Dennison and Tom Rutledge, Joe McGuffey, and Don Warden, and of course, then Dolly. My gosh. And you talk about funny. Dolly Parton's very funny.
Of the rainbow in the palm of your hand, to show the world what you know, your vision and your plan. You can paint all day and your magic stays at our house. Art is good. All the sounds of the symphony when you hum your own tune. You've got music when you're outside. We're playing in your room. You can sing all day and your magic stays at our house. Music's good. let your imagination run. You can play all day, and the magic stays at our house. Plays good when you're sleepy, and it's time to rest. You know you had a big day, and you know you did your best. You can sleep all night, wake in the morning light. At our house, sleep is good. See the boy dressed in red, jumping up and down on the bed. He's got friends, he's got 2 cats, a bird on a leash now, how about that? And he wants to fly away, fly away, fly away on a day in May. Fly away, fly, fly away, fly away on a day in May. It's fun to go and fly a kite, play all day, sleep all night, dream of what I want to be, a little bird sitting in a tree, so I could fly away, fly away, fly away on a day in May. Fly away, fly, fly away, fly away on a day in May. So I could fly away, fly away, fly away on a day in May. Fly away, fly, fly away, fly away on a day in May. Watching all the clouds go by, one looks like a butterfly, one looks like a great big toad,